Looks like everybody's having a blast. Now, there's a big statement coming out of the WNBA, obviously, with them saying, pay us what you owe us shirts. There's different takes on all different sides. We sent an invite to Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner of the WNBA, to come on this particular day. The WNBA All-Star Weekend happened here in Indianapolis. They're calling it in Miami.
Ooh,
they're saying it was Miami in Indianapolis. I'll tell you what, I saw a lot of videos. Looked like everybody was having a great time. Obviously, schedule is crazy. Look for us to chit-chat with her here in a while.
Hell yeah.
Because I am trying to figure it all out. Because whenever we found out what the WNBA pays their players through Caitlin Clark, she's making like 70 grand or something. They're charging $70,000 for a suite.
What happens when a protest meant to demand equality turns into a massive PR firestorm? This WNBA All-Star Game wasn't just about basketball, it was a stage for a bold message. But now, with sponsors furious, players facing potential suspensions, and the league losing millions, are the players pushing themselves out of jobs?
$40 million in losses, just quick, business everybody understands is P&L, profits and losses, $200 million in revenue, that's your gross. Then your net revenue is what you're making out of that. It's some of these games that Caitlin Clark is playing in. Now, I know that the league's been around for 20 years. I know that it's lost money for a very, very long time here. I know they're saying like $40 million in losses potential. Now, $200 million in revenue is the total. Every business has expenses. Every business has costs. For the WNBA, that's a lot. Obviously, you got like 140 players or something like that, depending upon at the time, how many are hired, how many are employed, the buildings, everything else like that.
Let's unpack the chaos. Before we move on, I will like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. An All-Star Game is supposed to be the crown jewel of any sports league, a celebration of its best players, a show to excite fans, and a chance to win over new audiences.
So the immediate reaction is, whenever you say pay us what you owe us, it's like you're not making any money, so what do we owe you? You owe us money. This is actually one of those things. They are then, from that $200 million gross revenue, allegedly back here at $40 million in the red as a loss. Allegedly. We don't know what's real and what isn't real, but allegedly everybody has said they'd never turn a profit. But if we're already losing $40 million, could you not just bump them up to at least six figures? Like $70,000 as a paycheck is that's an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Especially for like Caitlin Clark or all these people.
But this year's WNBA All-Star Game, let's just say it missed the mark completely. Fans tuning in expected fast-paced action, creative plays, and at least a little bit of effort. Instead, they got what felt more like a lazy Saturday pickup game. The defense was non-existent, no one was stepping up to provide any energy, and the entire atmosphere felt forced.
It's just wild because if you just add 30 grand to each one of them, get that up over $100,000, it's another like 4.6 million. So you're 44.6 million in this way. There has to be 4 million you can find somewhere in here that you can give up to give the players at least a little bit more money. Now, with that being said, my dad, his job, if he would have got paid $70,000 a year growing up, would have been incredibly pumped about that. But with how long the WNBA has been around, to say the $40 million loss is the reason why you can't give them money, that should be pretty easy to make happen, because I don't think the $70,000 thing is right. But I think that negotiation is going to be tough.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very tough negotiation. Yeah. Now, it seems like the players, though, all in on their side of it. And then if you listen to everybody else talk, it's like, hey, business, this is how business works. You make money, you get money. That's kind of how it goes.
It wasn't a contest. It was a glorified shooting drill. From the moment it tipped off, the game struggled to captivate. Some fans were already deflated when news broke that Caitlin Clark wouldn't be playing due to an injury. She's been the league's breakout star, drawing attention not just for her skills, but for the excitement she brings every time she steps on the court. Her absence left the stage with a glaring hole. The marquee players who did suit up, however, didn't seem too inspired either. Sure, there were highlight moments, a half-court shot here, a flashy assist there, but it never felt like anyone was taking it seriously. Even on social media, fans weren't shy about voicing their disappointment. Live chat reactions during the game were brutal. Comments like, "Is this really the All-Star Game?" and "Where's the effort?" popped up constantly, with viewers complaining about the lack of energy and competitive spirit.
Because I thought it was a great weekend here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Every city, every place downtown was rented out. There was massive events everywhere. Nike took over an entire basic block of Indianapolis and built it up. It was awesome. But it's like if you're operating at a $40 million loss off of 200, there's a lot of things going wrong. we could sneak in an extra 30 grand per player for it to get up to $100,000. Hopefully that'll be a conversation. Hopefully there'll be incentive base for it to go forward. But that was the big story out of the weekend. I don't love that that's a big story out of the weekend. We had a great weekend here, even though, collective bargaining is going to be the conversation going forward. And there's no reason for anybody, especially after his stud buds basically brought the whole world together.
The lack of interest became obvious as people openly talked about tuning out mid-game. Some viewers admitted they changed the channel. Others joked that their local rec league had better matchups. What was supposed to draw people in ended up doing the opposite. The game failed to entertain, but the moment things really shifted wasn't about basketball at all. Suddenly the focus moved away from the uninspired gameplay and onto the pregame protest. The shirts, the message, the fallout, it all took over from there. And this wasn't just a bold statement, it was a direct challenge, and the stakes were higher than anyone expected. Imagine this, every single all-star player steps onto the court wearing the same bold black t-shirt, the words printed across the front, "Pay us what you owe us." The message was impossible to miss. It was a direct shot at the league and a demand for change. What followed was chaos. Social media exploded, headlines zeroed in on the protest, and fans, teams, and even sponsors were suddenly debating the state of the WNBA instead of celebrating its biggest night. The intention was clear, but the fallout. Nobody saw it spiraling this fast. The players might have been making a point about pay equity, but the timing couldn't have been worse. Sponsors felt blindsided, not having been warned about the protest. Some were reportedly furious, feeling like they'd been caught in the middle of a statement they weren't prepared to be associated with. League executives were stunned, especially when criticism poured in about what many called the protest's tone-deaf nature. Critics pointed out a harsh reality. The WNBA has lost around $50 million in just the past year. For over 2 decades, the NBA has been heavily subsidizing the league, even covering player salaries. As one observer put it, every dime of that paycheck comes from NBA funding. A fact that made many question how more money could even be possible without more financial success. The backlash didn't stop there. Fans were divided. Some supported the players' push for higher pay, but just as many spoke out against it, claiming the protest wasn't about unity, but about entitlement. After all, players in the WNBA already earn 6-figure salaries in a season that lasts roughly 4 months. One sharp comment summed up the frustration many felt. They want NBA checks with YMCA numbers. Now, the consequences are starting to unfold. Rumors hint at possible suspensions for those involved as Commissioner Kathy Engelbert reportedly scrambles for damage control. Ironically, a protest demanding respect may end up costing players their jobs, and for the WNBA, this could be the kind of internal chaos it can't afford to survive. This protest may go down as the moment that changed everything for the WNBA, but not in the way players hoped. By demanding higher pay, they've thrown the league's financial struggles into the spotlight, and it's not a pretty picture. With $50 million in losses last year and the NBA shouldering much of the burden, the league's survival feels more fragile than ever. And here's the real question: can the WNBA afford to alienate fans, sponsors, and its biggest backer all at once? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, this protest didn't just make a statement, it raised the stakes.